5 True Girls School Hostel Horror Stories, The Haunting of St. Agatha's Hostel, St. Agatha's School for Girls had stood for over 100 years, its red brick walls weathered by time. Perched on the outskirts of a misty English town, the school was as famous for its discipline as it was for the eerie legends surrounding its hostel. Generations of students had whispered about the spirits that roamed the long, dimly lit corridors. Some were just stories, but some were terrifyingly real. 1. The Wailing Room. Every girl at St. Agatha's knew never to stay too long in room 309. It was said that many years ago, a student named Margaret had mysteriously disappeared from that very room, her belongings left untouched. The legend claimed that on stormy nights, sobbing sounds could be heard from inside, even if no one was staying there. When Aisha, a skeptical new student, was assigned to room 309, she laughed at the stories. Her laughter, however, turned to horror on her first night. The room was freezing despite the heater being on. As she lay in bed, she heard soft sobbing. At first, she assumed it was another girl in the hostel, but the sound grew closer right next to her bed. Aisha turned on her phone's flashlight, and in the dim glow, she saw a shadowy figure crouched at the foot of her bed, weeping. She screamed, waking up the entire floor. When the hostel warden arrived, the figure had vanished, but the chilling wails continued to echo through the room. Aisha refused to sleep there again, and room 309 remained vacant ever since. 2. The Hand Under the Bed. Late at night, the senior girls loved to scare the juniors with ghost stories. One of the most terrifying was about a girl named Clara, who had once stayed in the hostel. The story went that Clara had always been afraid of the dark and insisted on sleeping with her light on. One night, her roommates decided to play a cruel prank and turned off her light while she was asleep. The next morning, they found her curled up under her bed, her face twisted in horror, her fingernails broken as if she had tried to claw her way through the floor. She was alive but never spoke another word. Years later, a girl named Ruby found herself waking up in the middle of the night, feeling an unusual weight on her mattress. She reached out to switch on her lamp, but just as her fingers touched the switch, she felt something brush against her ankle, something cold and clammy. Frozen in terror, she slowly peeked over the side of her bed and saw a pale hand reaching out from beneath it. The fingers twitched, dragging across the floor towards her. Ruby let out a blood-curdling scream, waking the entire hostel. When the lights were turned on, there was nothing under the bed but long scratches were found on the wooden floorboards, as if someone had been desperately trying to escape. 3. The Whispering Walls. In the oldest wing of the hostel, the walls had ears literally. Girls often heard whispers coming from within the walls, hushed voices calling their names. Some dismissed it as wind or old pipes, but others knew better. One night, Emily and her friends decided to stay up late and investigate. They pressed their ears against the walls and were met with a soft, urgent whisper. "Help me," Emily yelped and jumped back. The whispering grew louder, overlapping voices pleading for help, crying, calling out names none of them recognized. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a chilling breeze swept through the corridor. The girls ran, their screams merging with the ghostly voices. The next day, the hostel warden revealed a dark secret. Decades ago, the hostel had caught fire, trapping several students inside. Their bodies had never been recovered, and legend had it that their souls were still trapped within the walls, desperately seeking release. 4. The Locked Bathroom. In the west wing of the hostel, there was a bathroom that had been locked for years. The story behind it was never fully explained, but every girl had heard the same warning: never try to open that door. One fateful evening, a rebellious student named Priya, curious beyond reason, decided to break the rule. With a hairpin, she picked the lock and slowly pushed the creaky door open. The bathroom inside was covered in dust, the mirrors cracked. But what made her freeze was the faint outline of a woman's figure in the reflection, standing behind her. Priya turned, but there was no one there. Her heart pounded. When she looked back at the mirror, the figure had moved closer. The lights flickered, and suddenly, the bathroom door slammed shut. Priya screamed as the shadows around her seemed to come alive, clawing at her arms. The hostel warden found her the next morning, huddled in the corner, muttering about the woman in the mirror. The bathroom was sealed once again, and Priya left the school shortly after, never speaking of what she saw that night. 5. The Girl Who Never Left. Among the hostel's most terrifying tales was the legend of a girl named Eleanor. She had been a student decades ago, but unlike the other spirits, she never appeared as a shadow or whisper. She appeared as a girl, seemingly alive, blending in with the students. Many had unknowingly befriended her, only to realize later that she didn't belong. She never changed clothes, never ate, and would always vanish when someone tried to take a photo with her. One night, Mia, a new student, met Eleanor in the library. They talked for hours, and Eleanor even walked Mia back to her room. As Mia climbed into bed, she thanked Eleanor for keeping her company. "See you tomorrow?" she asked. Eleanor only smiled. "I hope not," she whispered before disappearing right before Mia's eyes. The next day, Mia learned the truth. Eleanor had died in the hostel years ago, but she never truly left.